Welcome to the first Clearly Distorted podcast. I'm your co-host, Julian, along with our co-host here, Daym.
Yes.
This is season 1, episode 1. Thank you for joining us. So basically, it's the first episode. We're going to talk about a wide range of topics, anything really happening in the world, sports, politics, music, whatever comes to mind.
Current events.
Daym, why don't you kind of break it down? What is this what does this podcast mean to you as far as concept?
Just bringing our clearly thought out ideas and sharing them with the world through our distorted lenses.
That's right. So the first thing I think we should talk about is the big social kind of conversation surrounding Kanye West. I can't believe the very first thing we're going to talk about is a dude I don't like. I don't like his music. I don't like his face. I don't like his voice. I don't like his fans.
Bruh.
So
yeah,
this
it's becoming unavoidable, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Bruh.
So what do you think, Daym? For those who don't know, which is impossible, but we're going to talk about him wearing a White Lives Matter shirt.
Right.
And just his basic history with the MAGA hat and his anti-Semitic comments as of late. So, Daym, what do you think about all this whole thing?
I have two different points of views on this. I think, did you see the text messages that he sent to Diddy and the text messages that he sent, the message that he sent to Boosie?
I didn't see the one to Boosie, even though I heard his comments, but I saw the ones to Puffy or Diddy or whatever.
I mean, those are two people that I probably wouldn't want, to challenge when it comes to my livelihood. But I got the feeling, man, and this is the hot take.
Oh, no. Here we go. First one.
Hot take. I think Kanye West wants to be a martyr. I think he wants to die. I think he's unhappy. And I think he's, speaking it into reality. That's what I think.
That is crazy. I would have never even picked any of that up from him because
No.
I do feel like he does throw caution to the wind. Like it just seems like he's not scared of nothing. He says whatever the hell comes out of his mouth. But I think part of that is because of his status and because he's probably bodyguarded up. Like, I don't know. That's
yeah, but even
take.
Still, you don't say things like that in the public. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with Diddy, but you don't say. First of all, Diddy got no problem with putting his own hands on you, as we've seen. But he also has a reputation of being connected. If I don't even feel comfortable saying more than that on camera.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, that's like the aura surrounding him and just with the history of everything. But I don't know, man. I just don't feel. I think Kanye is such of a huge figure in media in general that I just don't know if I kind of feel like he's untouchable. In that respect, I mean, no one is. Anyone could get got, right? But I just feel like it ain't really worth anyone's time.
I don't think they would do it. Even it was very smart of Boosie the way he responded publicly anyway when he was reading Kanye's messages while he was on live, and he just stopped and he was like, you know what? I don't want any problems with Kanye. Just leave that alone. I don't want any problems with Kanye. But he's someone who also has that same reputation. So it just seems like Kanye is looking for it. Not that I think these things would happen. I don't think either one of these gentlemen would. There's no reason for them to. But why would Kanye be inviting these gentlemen to that kind of action?
I think part of it is, see, here this kind of segues into the narrative about Kanye West. And what do you think about this? So you hear a lot of people making these excuses. Oh, he's off his meds, and he's got mental issues,
Right.
and all of that stuff surrounding it. So I would imagine that most of these people probably feel the same way, right? So
Right.
they probably are taking a lot of this shit he's saying with a grain of salt. It's
Right.
Kanye. He's crazy.
Right.
Who cares what he's saying? That sort of thing.
But here's the thing that we never ever take into account, and this has happened throughout the history of hip hop. It's never the big guy. It's always
Right.
some little guy that wants to put on the show for the big guy.
Well, there's always going to be that with celebrities, right? Somebody thinks that they're going to make a name for themselves, and they're going to come out. The dude who killed John Lennon, that was his part of his thing, right? Was, yeah, I'm gonna shoot this motherfucker, and I'm gonna become famous. So yeah, I'm sure. But to think that that's Kanye's angle on this shit, I don't know. I really think he
Well,
thinks
no,
he's gonna be president.
I don't I don't think it's just like it's beyond the shirt for me. When you think about his personal life, all the craziness that's going on, the shit with his kids, his ex-wife, the family is, going at him. And then when you throw in Ray J and what Ray J is going through, dealing with the same family at the same time, and like it's just a lot, man. Like, would you blame him?
I'm sorry, man. I come from a different thought process, bro.
Oh, we know, and they'll get to know.
I don't feel sorry for him in the slightest.
It's not
Uh,
sympathy. I'm
I
just,
don't empathy,
it's,
sympathy, relatability. Like I have none of that for him. And part of the reasons why I think about it, right? Like, so one of the narratives is, oh, he wasn't the same after his mom died. What? How many people's moms die? How many people's dads died? Like they act like he's the only person on planet Earth that lost their parent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like his mom got shot up, like robbing a bank and shit. Like, I mean, some craziness that happened to her. Like, it wasn't like some
all right.
disgusting tragedy. Like,
Will you
what are we
concede?
feeling bad about?
Will you concede that different people have different types of relationships with their parents? Some aren't as close, some are very close, so they might
Yes.
have different responses to the same outcome.
Damn. Come on, that's a stretch, bro. You don't flip your wig because your mom's died.
People do.
Okay. Look,
All right.
Kanye
So
West could wake up
hold on.
tomorrow morning if he wanted to, and he could wake up and be at any part of the planet chilling. He's got anything at his fingertips. He's got influence beyond anyone's wildest dreams. What are you upset over? You got kids, man. You got a family. Like, what are you doing?
well, yeah, no, I feel like you're putting me in a position to try and justify it, and that's not. I'm just saying, it shit happens, and it's possible.
Well, when you put on your lawyer hat, man, there's nothing else for me to do. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
we
I've seen
just
it.
so
I've
you
seen
guys
it
know,
firsthand in my own family, so I it
okay,
happens.
I've seen people lose their minds and be depressed and for years when they lose a close one. I'm not denying that. But how long has it been? How long has it been? His mom's been gone for how long? We can't keep using that excuse. And for me, and you and I have spoken about this. The interesting part of this conversation, see, if we were talking about a character study, right? If we were talking about Kanye West by himself, I would probably mostly agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. But I don't care about any of that because to me, it's what his effect is socially,
Right.
what his effect is on the community, what his effect is on the narrative that white people have, especially like the Fox News, the right wingers. What is that effect? Forget Kanye. Kanye is a product of this nonsense. He thinks he's running shit and he's not. He really isn't. I mean, him going on Tucker Carlson was proof of that, right?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw clips of it, and it looked like he had no business being there. Like he didn't even his answers were like, uh,
It was delicious.
he's in over his
It's
head.
just
That's for sure.
he's in over his head. And what he doesn't realize is that he thinks he had an ally sitting in front of him.
No,
Essentially, what he had was the guy who was laughing at his face in his face, you know, and he couldn't even recognize that.
yeah, he was the food in that scenario for sure.
For sure. So, yeah, my thoughts on this thing. I think this has a huge, and I don't mean like just the one incident with the White Lives Matter. I'm just talking about the whole narrative and his pattern for the last few years. It has a huge negative effect on communities of color. I think I know you and I have a different take on that, but I do think that it's not just something we could ignore, and it's not something that we're not ignoring. Everyone's talking about it.
Definitely not going ignored, but like you said, I just don't see droves of people in our community jumping up and following him. I think the vast majority of us recognize the pattern, as you pointed out, because as he even expressed in the text message to Diddy, I'm trying to sell this shit. We know this is going to follow up with an album, and then it'll go on for a year and a half, and then he'll find his sanity, and then he'll find God again, and it's the same. It's the red again. It's the red hat all over again. I think the biggest impact is not in our community. I think he's just gaining. He's trying to pull on Trump's coattail and get as many of those followers as he can.
See, but you just hit it right there. He's pulling on Trump's coattail and trying to get followers. So when I say the impact on the community, I'm not talking about how many people support him necessarily. I'm talking about narratives in current modern times. I'm talking about how people perceive, like, for instance, you got someone who's maybe not even a fan of Kanye, but he's creating a blueprint for other people how to act. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different angles and branches and avenues that this particular behavior is branching out and creating for our social media and global communication in general.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
What do they gain?
Who doesn't want to have his success? Who wouldn't want that? Nope. I can say most people wouldn't want the drama, but who wouldn't want that success?
But I don't think anybody could do what he's doing without having been successful first.
I would agree with you on that. Well, I would agree that they couldn't, because there are people who do the same type of nonsense he does. They just, nobody cares. So yeah. So he wouldn't have that influence. But the fact of the matter is, he does have it. He has it, bro. I mean, our first episode, our very first topic, we're talking about it. Every podcast in the country has probably mentioned his name. Every news channel, every news organization, all the music circles, everywhere, they're talking about him.
Yeah. Is that influence?
Of course.
Okay.
That's why people are nowadays, they're called influencers. Kim Kardashian is known as an influencer.
Right.
Kanye West is known as that as well. I mean, that's really, to me, that's his official title now. He's an influencer. He ain't a rapper. He ain't a producer. He ain't no fashion genius. He ain't no genius. That's another whole different topic we could get into. The whole concept of him being a genius needs to stop. That needs to stop.
It's over.
What do you mean it's over?
It's over. It had its run.
It should never even started.
I mean, we acknowledge that it existed, right? In a large.
It continues to exist. There are still morons out there still calling him a genius. They're morons.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. I can't. If anybody listening to this thinks that Kanye West is a genius, you're a moron. I got you spilling your drink all over yourself.
Oh, All right. Well,
First podcast blooper right there.
straight out the gates, you're a fucking moron. How do you like that?
Yep.
All right. These are the opinions and words of Julian and Julian only.
Brought to you by the Clearly Distorted Podcast.
No, brought to you by Julian.
All of us. Okay. So is he a genius?
I think there are things that he's done
That's not what I asked you.
Well, let me answer your question.
No, you're not. Hey, look. My when my daughter was 5 years old, she did shit, and I was just like, man, what a little genius I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do smart, clever things, but is he a genius?
I mean, are we talking in a literal sense, or because obviously the way the term is used in relation to him and many others is more figuratively than literal.
Right.
Like there is really no such thing as a musical genius, if we're going by the definition of the word. But
okay, so the term musical genius, that would apply to like a Ray Charles, right? Right? Quincy Jones, right?
Quincy
John
Jones,
Lennon,
definitely,
right?
no question.
Right? Ray Charles, no question. There's no question. In fact, he had an album called The Genius or whatever. I mean, you could also put Stevie Wonder in that class. You can put a whole bunch of people in that class
I think we might have to take Stevie out of there, man.
And invented things and done things in their fields, not just music, that has revolutionized the world. Kanye West doesn't fall into that.
See, but when you use words like revolutionize, that's so like grand.
And genius is what? What is genius?
Okay. All right.
See, here's the thing, like Daym, like you can't bring yourself to say, yo, Jew, you're wrong. That man's a genius. But you debating me when I'm saying that he's not a genius.
What I'm debating is that he could be.
What?
Oh my God. Like you like that, son.
He could be.
Listen.
What does that mean? Please elaborate.
That I don't think any of us really are qualified to determine who is and who is not a genius. But we all can identify when we see things that we've never seen before. It's kind of like the term crazy. Like when people do shit that's not what most people do, we just call them crazy, right? When people exceed in ways that we've never seen done before, then we call them genius.
So, question.
That was pretty good, I thought.
It was pretty slick. It was pretty slick. So, would you classify Vanilla Ice as a genius?
No.
But you're not qualified. You just said, like, we're not qualified. How could you be qualified to even make a statement like that?
It's my opinion.
He came from nothing and had a huge one-hit wonder, and he was whack as hell and made millions doing it.
So, but what was genius about it? What was different? We've seen. I
don't think anything was genius on it. But by your logic, we're not qualified.
No, because we've seen that before.
Okay, so you're telling me that what Kanye West is doing, we've never seen him before?
Let's back up. We're not talking about today's Kanye. We're talking about College Dropout. We're talking about
what did he do on College Dropout that was so genius? He had a good album. Maybe a great album, but what was so genius about it that hadn't been done?
Well, that's kind of like, I think, the end of it. What was the second album?
You're asking the wrong cat, man. I don't. Everything I hear from him is either average or below average in my mind. I'm not a fan of him.
But that's it. That's why it's so hard to have this conversation with you, because you're not a fan of anybody. So
That's not true.
excuse
That's not,
you
that's
know,
not true, man.
bookmark this shit right here. Everybody watching, just keep this in mind.
Write it down.
Write it down.
There are a lot of people that I admire. What I won't do is I'm not going to put people on a pedestal that they don't belong there. I'm not into this hyperbole, and I'm not into this just riding someone's nuts because they have a fan base. Like I can acknowledge, like, LeBron James, talk about LeBron James, right? He's a great player. A great player, one of the greats. I don't think it's even remotely he's even remotely in the realm of being a GOAT. I don't think he's in that conversation. And I'm a huge basketball fan. I've watched every freaking playoff game featuring LeBron, most of his regular season games throughout his whole career. And I just don't put him there. But I think he's great. But I'm a hater because I say stuff like that. Well, it's the same thing with Kanye West, except I actually admire LeBron James. I don't admire Kanye West. But I can acknowledge and say, yeah, he's made some great music. Jesus Walks Today is still one of the best beats probably ever made. But that doesn't put him in genius category. It doesn't put him there for me.
But genius,
if you're a fan of him, go ahead.
Genius Walks was groundbreaking. Beyond
Genius
the beat.
Walks? Jesus
Genius.
Walks. See, you already got that genius crown on him. Like,
oh man, geniuses do walk though. So hey, whatever. Anyway, that song was groundbreaking beyond the beat. He doesn't get credit for that. I mean,
he gets credit for doing groundbreaking things. He gets credit for making some good music. He gets credit for that. Like, nobody can take that away from him, not let alone some unknown fucking podcaster over here. But to just say he's genius, I think it's hyperbolic. I don't think it's accurate at all.
I think Pharrell, genius or no?
No.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you don't think Pharrell's a genius, then Kanye damn sure ain't a fucking genius in your book. Clear.
I think you reserve that for a very few people.
Pharrell is probably as close to Quincy as we could get.
I don't want to get into. I don't want to start pulling up different artists and then ranking them. Whether they're genius or not.
That was not where I was going.
The point I'm trying to make. Go ahead.
Is so when we get to these people who we do clearly hold in regard, a lot of people would say Pharrell is a genius. A lot of people would say he's today's Quincy Jones. He covers many genres. His music acumen is off the charts. It's what he does. Pushing these buttons is out of this world. So when someone like that says that guy's a genius, you got to give weight to that.
You're having two different conversations. I'm telling you, yeah, I can say that person's great. I can give weight to that. I'm just not going to call them a genius. I'm just not going to say that. You could take your favorite artist in the whole entire world or your favorite actor or whoever and say that they're great. But as soon as you start going into greatest, or the GOAT conversation, or they're a genius, or that's when people start losing me, because it's the societal thing now where we can't just admire things. No, we have to be totally enamored with them, and that's what blows me away.
You know what I think would help button this up for the people out there? Who do you think is greatest?
I
What's
said
your
it earlier. I said a couple of people, but
no no
I would say
in the world of hip hop,
in the world of hip hop. So no other music genre.
right?
All right. So genius, I would put
No,
KRS-One.
okay. Well, I wasn't going as far as genius, but like the goats. Who was the greatest? Just to give a baseline for everybody who's listening. How Julian
So
thinks.
what are we doing here? We're doing greatest, or we're doing we're doing genius. What are we doing?
Greatest.
Great. So the greatest hip hop rappers to me would be KRS-One, no particular order.
No order.
Nas is definitely there. Rakim is definitely there. Big Daddy Kane is there. Um, you could say, and I wouldn't. I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but I would say that he's legendary in that way. You could put Jay-Z in there for sure. Some people have him as number one. You could put Eminem on there. Again, not somebody that I would
No,
say,
but
but I acknowledge. Well, there's a difference. You're asking me. There's a difference between what I like and what's my favorite, and what I acknowledge
no.
as great.
Yeah, those are different questions. Who's your favorite is different than who you think is the greatest.
So all right. So off the top of the head, I'll give you my top three. I'll say KRS-One, Nas, and Rakim.
Give me two more. Top five.
Top five. I'm gonna go with a non-rapper. Really, I would say DJ Premier would be one, and I'll say Grandmaster Flash.
Okay.
He basically invented the crossfader,
Sure.
so I would give it to him. Without the crossfader, we don't have modern day DJing. That's a fact.
No, there's no question about it. There's no question about it.
We don't even have mixes.
It's possible. I mean, somebody else might have figured it out at some point, but we'll give the man his just due.
You could say that. Somebody else would have figured out red light, green light, yellow light, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's something I always think about when, someone says, if it wasn't for this guy, I mean, yeah, they deserve their credit. Somebody else might have figured that shit out too.
I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story because you just kind of reminded me. A couple of years back, I'm with my daughter, and I said, we went to the supermarket and we're picking up something, and I said, I got this great idea. And she's like, what? And I said, they should put like a big sign and it says, BOGO, buy one, get one, free. And she looked at me like I was totally stupid. And she's like, Dad, that's a thing. And I was like, what do you mean that's the thing? I just came up with that. I invented that shit. And she's like, no, you didn't. And it's funny, but I don't know if it was, I don't know how I never saw it, how I never seen any advertisements with it. I don't know why I thought that I came up with the concept and I thought I was some genius, but so I get what you're saying. Totally co-sign with what you're saying, but yeah. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Like when we're talking about inventing an entire style or a genre of music or being part of that, that's a different thing. So, all right, I gave it to you. Like, what do you have any objections to what I'm saying?
I can't object to your list. That's your list.
All right, but
it's just the baseline. It's episode 1, man. It's just the baseline. I want people to get familiar with who Julian is.
What about you? Give me your top 5 then.
Jay-Z.
All right.
Nas.
All right.
Biggie.
Ooh.
I know. There's always an asterisk with Biggie. And I hate to put the asterisk there only because, he has a limited body of work. But I just have to believe that if we had more Biggie, then the asterisk would go away.
I would not argue that because his short time here, that catalog is not the biggest, but amazing.
You could probably listen to every song he put out without skipping any.
And even in his last album, you can tell even from album 1 to album 2, he started evolving his flow and his thoughts, and like it was happening right in front of our faces, right going into the second album. That album was
crazy. was the epitome of the one line Pun says, like, you know, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds. I want to live. That's what that album was.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah. Yeah, big. I wouldn't argue that. So you got Jay-Z, you got Nas, you got Big.
It's hard. It's hard when to keep your favorites separate from the greatest or the best. So where am I? I got Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas. I would put Rakim in there for sure. And if I was doing a top 10, it would be a different order, but there's reasons why I'm putting them in the top 5. Because I think Rakim, father of the style, and I would say Big Daddy Kane also, father of the style.
Yeah,
we don't get Biggie and we don't get Jay-Z without Big Daddy Kane.
That's totally true.
Man, that's sad. I'm getting sad, man. I don't want to think of anyway.
Yeah, but you see, that's my point. So if we were talking about hip hop geniuses or whatever, Kanye, he wasn't even in your list. I think if I gave you 10 more picks, he wouldn't be on there.
I don't know. As a rapper, he's not. No. To me, his genius is his concepts, his beat making, I think is superior. That to me exceeds his rapping ability. I don't think he's one of the greatest rappers.
Do you think, well, Grandmaster Flash isn't a rapper anyway, so I put him in there. Do you put Kanye West as top 3 producers of all time? Hip hop?
No.
Put him in the top 5?
Possibly, yeah.
See, yeah,
I'd have to give thought about it, but just off first whim, yeah, I think it's possible he could be in the top 5.
See, yeah,
but that doesn't take away from him potentially being a genius. That just means there could be other geniuses before him.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I think happened here. I think if you say something enough times and you're influential, that just becomes part of the narrative. And I think he's been a self-proclaimed genius and brilliant and all of this for so long. And he's managed to maintain a certain level of fame that I think people just clung on to that word.
I think it's the other way around.
No, because nobody was saying that about him when he first came out.
They were. That's what I'm saying.
No, they were not.
Oh, man.
Damn, no, they were not.
You watched the documentary.
Yeah, I saw the documentary, but he was going into studios and nobody was barely paying attention to him. What are you talking about?
But the people who were familiar with him, like Mos Def, and those people all knew what this man was about to do.
Yeah, and it was the same thing with a lot of up and coming people in that era. Like there wasn't like that wasn't a serious narrative. You may hear people do interviews now and be like, yo, when that dude was coming up, I knew he was a genius. But back in that time, nobody was saying that about him.
I feel like they were. I mean, if I recall correctly, I could be wrong, but I believe even in the documentary, Mos Def says it.
Yeah, now
and he's someone who,
in retrospect,
no, it was then. Him in the documentary was then.
Hyperbole, like I said, you can say things enough about a person or that person about themselves, and if that's a narrative about that person going on, it's like Donald Trump being a business genius. You know that's not true.
I've never heard that, so you sent me that shit the other day.
That's a episode 2, I guess, but yeah, no,
there's no episodes. Fuck that man.
No, there are a lot of people who get thrown certain labels, deserving and undeserving, but it doesn't always mean that that's what they are. That's just the narrative behind it.
So Kanye West is great. You're saying that's all.
He has shown greatness. Yes.
I knew I wasn't gonna get you to say it.
Define great.
Oh, here we go. We're gonna do this now. We just finished the genius. We're gonna go through what's great now.
I'm just saying you got to have the right criteria, right?
Come on, man. Just
When people,
Kanye West is fucking great, bro. You can say that freely. It's okay.
I cannot.
You're not
say
gonna
that.
die when it comes out of your mouth. It's okay.
I said he's displayed greatness. He's done some great things, but
that is a very different
you
statement.
you gotta define greatness. To me, greatness is literally I'm very literal with the word. So you got to be great. You can't just be, oh, he's a nice beat maker. Oh, he made, like, you got to be great. You got to be a great person. You got to do great things. I don't see that with him.
So again, it's the same point I was making before. You acknowledge Jay-Z is great, right? He's in one of the on your top 10 greatest list, right?
Yeah, I would give him that respect, sure.
So if he's saying I gotta have 5 songs on my album from this guy, we're not thinking he's trying to settle for anything less than great, right?
So, okay, I disagree with that take because, of course, it's a good point. But if Kanye West wasn't famous and Jay-Z heard the same catalog that he released, he probably would not think that.
He wasn't famous. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
I'm talking. Listen to what I'm saying, man. Kanye West has a certain level of notoriety
today.
So today, and even 15, 20 years ago, well, 15 years ago, he's been famous for quite some time. When he was up and coming and he was young, a lot of people liked him. And of course, people wanted him. But you could also argue that when Kanye West was new, Jay-Z wasn't at his peak yet either. You know what I'm saying? So he's at his peak, like he's been at his peak like lately, like as far as not musically, but just his status.
Well, status
and whatever.
Status and musically are two different. That's two. Different.
I would agree, but
okay.
But Jay-Z didn't hit his big time until Biggie passed. A little bit after that. Anyway,
well, his first album came out the same year Biggie died, or the year before Biggie died. So,
well, like I said, time frame. I'm not get into specifics, but anyway, this is going to end this segment, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. All right, so Draymond Green punches Jordan Poole in the face. The world's in an uproar. It's the most horrible thing that's ever happened in the history of the NBA. It's the big fucking deal.
Wow. As usual, I have a completely different take on it. I think this is a huge deal.
I think it's only a huge deal. Listen, this shit happens more often than we know, I'm sure. I'm more bothered by the footage leaking. That to me is the biggest culprit in this scenario, because that shit should have been kept in house. It would have been an easier process for Poole to recover from, as well as the team. And I think because it's got such national attention, it's probably going to impact the outcome of their season. The leaker is the real problem here.
See, I see it as a separate issue, but addressing what you were saying about the Draymond Green thing, see, my take on it isn't that this is something that frequently happens, because this was what I would consider assault. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't two guys jawing back and forth at each other. They threw up their set, started fighting. That shit happens probably all the time. What this was something different, because it didn't look, if you pay attention to the footage, it didn't look like initially Jordan Poole was, felt all that threatened or worried about Draymond Green coming to him. So I think in Jordan Poole's mind, there was no physical altercation that was going to be had. I've heard stupid commentators in the media say, oh, if somebody gets in your space, you got to square up. if that's your brother, if that's your teammate, if there's somebody, you know, you have a working relationship with, you shouldn't have to feel like you need to punch someone that's walking up to you. So Jordan Poole didn't do that. Draymond Green goes up to him. Jordan Poole's like, hey, yo, you're in my space. He pushes him. Before he had much of a time to react, Green clocked him, knocked him out. That's assault. That's not a fight.
All right. I don't want to come off as justifying what Draymond Green did. Obviously, you punch someone, that's assault. I'm just saying that I think the focus is on the wrong part. I will also say, just to speak to your point you just made, there's part of the clips we didn't see what happened before, right? So we don't know what Poole's part in this was. What we do see is Draymond Green and Poole like 20 feet apart, right? Screaming at each other or whatever. I know where you're from, and I know where I'm from. And when someone closes that size of a gap, you should be at least positioning your feet, right? The moment I push someone away from me, like when I'm pushing you away from me, it's to create space so that I can get ready to fight. So Jordan Poole pushes Draymond Green back, and he just wasn't ready.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to bring a racial component into this.
Okay.
So immediately, everyone's reaction is somehow like we're looking at all these NBA players like they're street motherfuckers and shit. Excuse my language, but you know, it's how we do it. And I have a beef with that because these are professional athletes. We don't know what all their backgrounds are unless you really follow them. Maybe Jordan Poole didn't live that life. I don't know. So the idea and the concept that you're at work, you're in a safe space, you're about to get a big contract, you just won a chip, you're in practice, and your veteran leader walks up to you and does that. I don't know. Should he have expected a punch to connect? Should he have physically prepared for himself? See, to me, we could have that conversation and maybe you would be right, because if he had his hands up, he probably wouldn't have got knocked out. If he had his feet set, he probably wouldn't have got knocked out. But I'm less concerned with that and more concerned with the fact that the Warriors did not even suspend this guy. I'm a huge Draymond fan. Huge. I support the Warriors. You know, I think Steph is the best player in the league.
Right.
I watch Draymond's podcast. I'm a huge fan. I can't ride with that, man.
I was a little shocked they didn't suspend him. But I also wasn't completely surprised, if that makes sense. I really feel like Kerr's got a grip on this shit and it's being handled in-house. And again, had we not seen the video, this shit would probably be over already internally. The excuse of the ring ceremony, I could fuck with it a little bit. So then why maybe not suspend him after? Like, you know what I mean? Allow him to attend the ceremony. He doesn't play the game. You know, he's out of there after the ceremony and, you know, he's got 5 games or whatever it was they decided. I think the excuse probably wasn't sufficient, but I think really behind the scenes, it's probably being dealt with, and that's why they went that course.
I would agree that I think organization, the Warriors organization, Steve Kerr, I would agree that they probably got a really good handle on the situation. You got Steph, you got Iggy, those guys probably veteran leaders. Of course, Steve Kerr, he was punched by Michael Jordan, but as I understand it, that was also more of an altercation and more of a fight than it was just what happened here. But yeah, so it bothers me because it sets a terrible message, right? The message is basically that Draymond Green can put it in perspective. This is what they've been talking about, right? When Draymond Green had that argument with KD and called him a bitch, he got suspended for that. one game. He knocks out Jordan Poole, supposedly the future of Golden State, and nothing. Don't tell me it's because KD. I don't want to hear
No, no,
that. I'm just
no.
saying right is right.
I think there's some backstory that we probably don't know. Like, I saw I don't believe it was part of Draymond's apology, but I did see Draymond speaking in another clip saying how, when they returned back to training camp, Poole was popping a lot of shit to a lot of people, and they were looking to Draymond to resolve it. And, he kind of stayed out of it. But, maybe it got to a point where just, people were tired of it. And, listen, if you talk shit, you got to be ready to back it up. I know it's a workspace and professionalism and all of that, but it's not that big a deal.
Back to the racial component. If that was two white guys in a different sport, like, I don't know, baseball, football, would the narrative be that Jordan Poole should have squared up and have been ready?
I mean, baseball, they fight all the time. Hockey is part of the game.
I know they fight all the time. I know, hockey and football are way more physical sports than basketball. The question is, I feel like this is just an automatic, right? Yo, Poole should have been ready. He should have been ready. You know what I mean? He should have been ready. Like, I hear that shit all the time, and I'm like, ready for what? Like, what are we talking about here? Like if that's the standard now, like if you're a person of color and you're an athlete, you should just be prepared for your teammate to clock you in the face.
I think you're introducing the race. I don't see.
I am.
I don't think we're the only race that fights. You know what I mean?
Not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying is what the expectation is from
somewhere in Wisconsin or Middle America. there's someone that said, "God damn, that boy should have set his feet."
I've heard no. Wait, I've heard this on like ESPN.
Okay.
Like, I'm listening to like Matt Barnes and Jalen Rose, and
you got to consider the source.
Yes,
Matt Barnes, we all know about Matt
Shannon
Barnes.
Sharp, same thing. Skip Bayless, like I know we ain't rocking with Skip Bayless like that, but I've heard these people say like, yeah, like Poole should have been
raised
ready
by a black woman, so I mean, he might have some input.
Let me tell you something. if Shannon Sharp pushed Skip, I know Skip ain't swinging on him. I know that for a fact.
Listen, most people are not swinging on Shannon Sharp. That guy, 50, 55, however old he is, 54, something like that. He is.
Yeah, just my thought on it, man. There should have been more severe punishment. I don't think it was something that Jordan Poole should have been prepared for. I think he's a young basketball player, young star coming into the league. All the potential in the world, everything's looking up. He's gonna talk shit, like that's part of the game. Who talks more than Draymond? So, like, I don't even buy that. Oh, we don't know what happened before that. If Jordan Poole could have turned around and said, "Yo, I'm in love with your wife," that still doesn't give him any reason to punch him like that.
Come on, Julian.
Hit me up. What's up, man?
I mean,
what am I saying that's crazy?
Because all right, it's perspective, right? So, we're at the age we're at now, and things that that's not something that would trigger us at this point in our life, right? They're not quite where we are. They're at that age still where that's that could be a trigger. You can't say something like that to somebody. You crazy?
You bugging out. So Draymond Green, he's in his 30s, right?
He's probably in the early 30s, I would say. I mean, he's easily 10 years or more younger than us.
But still, he's in his 30s. Wait a minute. He's in his 30s, and he's far removed from the lifestyle that he used to live, more than we are, because he's an insane millionaire. Everywhere he goes, he gets praised. And Like, come on, man.
It
Like
doesn't
these guys
matter.
are
It
far
doesn't
removed
matter.
from
We
that.
see examples of why that doesn't matter every day in our culture. We have our culture is latent with millionaires who can't leave the circumstances they came from.
I would say that that's the image that's painted in the media. I would say that
I
that's
mean, how
the
many?
stereotypes that a lot of people feel like
No,
they have to live up to.
right. I mean, how many hip hop artists get killed where they're from? Right.
See, that's my point right there. We're talking about basketball, and immediately it gets equated with hip hop. And I understand some of the reasons why, but that also gets equated with people of color. So it's almost like, yo, you're going to let that ride? You're going to let this dude push you? And then all of a sudden, bam, you knock him out. Like, that shouldn't be
we were talking
the
about
response.
People of our culture. So that was.
I get reference. It. But is that really our culture? Is to snuff another dude in the face who pushed you off of him because you invaded his space? It's not like Jordan Poole walked up to him and pushed him.
Again,
and here's another thing. We only saw
a clip.
Here's another thing. Check this out. So if they were in a game and they were on opposite teams, Draymond Green wouldn't have punched him.
Why not?
Why not? Because I've seen Draymond Green get pushed in an NBA game by other players, and I've seen him not do anything.
So Draymond Green's pussy. That's what you said.
I'm not saying he's pussy. I'm saying that he's well aware. He's well aware what he's doing. That wasn't like a moment when he was out of control. That was something that I think he knew when he went. I'm only speculating, but if he was in another environment, or put it this way, if that was Dwight Howard in front of him, you think he would have punched him?
I think he was. I agree. I see your point, and I don't think he counted on being recorded and someone within the facility leaking it.
And another thing, if that was Steph Curry, would he have punched Steph Curry? Steph Curry ain't a big dude, but your career is over. You do that.
Yeah, different circumstance for sure.
So that's the point that I'm saying. It wasn't like some street shit where both men had to be like ready for this shit. So I'm sure from Jordan Poole's perspective, he's just like, yo, get off of me. He lights out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see any way to excuse that.
It's not to excuse it, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as it's being made to be. Because again, I guarantee you it happens on every team.
So let me ask you this. The Will Smith slap on Chris Rock, that was justifiably a bigger deal?
What do you mean?
Who would you rather be in that situation, Chris Rock or Jordan Poole?
Poole.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean,
I know why.
Why?
Because you don't want to get slapped.
Right.
Right. Who wants to get slapped?
I'd rather get snuck and just have to man it up, but like to get smacked on national TV in front of millions,
like Rick James, like
yeah.
I would understand that, but still, like, cameras off, I'd rather be Chris Rock. Cameras on, I'd probably rather be Jordan Poole. But still, they're both equally disrespectful. Like, I don't know. Even if there were no cameras rolling.
Draymond gave him love. He caught him before he hit the ground, gave him a hug.
It looked like he was trying to stomp him out. What are you talking about?
Nah, he was catching him before he hit the ground.
That shit looked to me like he was trying to
Nah, he definitely
stomp him out.
He definitely wasn't stomping him out.
Finish the job, son. If we're talking about shit like that,
you've never had a fight with a friend? Yes,
I've had fights with friends.
You don't stomp your friend out. You might knock him out, but you don't stomp him out.
I don't knock out my friends, man. If you're my friend, I'm not gonna knock you out. We may fight, and maybe in the fight or whatever that could happen, but I'm not looking to just clock.
No, I'm not saying intentionally not. I said you might knock him out. In the heat of the moment, you just might catch him good. But if they fall down, you're not going to go to stomping them out.
If I ever have a fight with my friend, guaranteed that's not going to be a sucker punch. Not on my end.
No, we were just talking about finishing it off and stomping them out. I mean, I'm
I'm
not
just
saying
saying, if I needed to sucker punch a guy who's 80 pounds thinner than me or whatever it is, might as well stomp his ass out. Because like you said, we don't know what happened before that. For all we know, you know, Jordan Poole is hitting up Draymond in the showers or something. Who knows, man?
Cobra Kai, no mercy, huh?
Nah,
Finish them.
I'm just bugging, man. I don't like the idea of the almost no consequences, no punishment.
We don't know how much he got fined, so we can't say there's no consequence. Um, and it's pretty embarrassing.
It is. It is. I don't know how Poole recovers from that. See, like
But
even
that's
with
the thing. That's what bothers me the most is the fucking person who leaked that shit. Like, that's the person that should be punished the most. Like, you went against your whole franchise, like your whole team.
that person got a bag. I
I
guarantee it.
know. Oh man,
Guarantee it.
that's disgusting.
Somebody got paid
That
for that.
that to me, that person is far worse than Draymond Green in my book. That's
I
dirty.
think I think probably I don't know. I know we live in a culture where that kind of stuff is unacceptable. Acceptable. That's like snitching, sort of like. But I'm kind of from a spectator's point of view. I'm kind of glad I saw it.
Why? I don't even want to hear about this shit.
I'm glad I saw it because I think that's something. Again, I'm a Warriors fan. I'm rooting for them again this year. Um, but I'm glad I saw it because I do feel like there should be accountability. I don't think that anyone should ever
But that doesn't
be
mean
able to
that
just walk away from something like that.
it doesn't mean because we don't see it, there wouldn't have been accountability. Again, this shit happens in the NBA all the time, and it's dealt with in house as it should be.
It happens in the NBA probably. You know what probably happens? What probably happens is those bench players or players that don't have supermax contracts probably get their ass kicked all the time by the superstars, and nothing happens other than those bench players end up getting traded. So maybe the person who leaked it is privy to seeing shit like that all the time and figured, you know what, Draymond's done this one too many times. I'm exposing his ass. Maybe. So I don't know. There's a motivation behind everything. It's just like you said with Poole. Maybe Poole was antagonizing him or whatever, but maybe that person behind the camera was like, or whoever leaked it was just like, yo, fuck Draymond. Maybe.
Or maybe, like you said, in it for the cash.
Yep.
Fucked up
It's,
times, bro.
it's probably, I would say that's likely the scenario.
Yo,
That
it's
that that
people will
motivates a
do
lot.
anything for the bag.
Yeah.
Sell your soul. Like, there's no limits anymore. People don't have pride.
They're gonna find out who it is.
Maybe.
They're gonna find out who it is, I'm sure.
Do you think they deserve to get fired?
Yes. They can't be trusted. In fact, not only do they deserve to get fired, they should never work for another sports team ever again.
I agree. I hope they. I don't hope they got paid, but they better have made it worth their while. Because to me,
Yeah,
that's
that's gonna
the biggest tragedy here is that.
that's gonna be a thing. Like I already started seeing the memes like immediately when when that video posted. They even had like a meme where they had Jordan Poole from NBA 2K and they gave him like a black eye and shit, and like a swollen jaw. He's gonna have to live with that for the rest of his career.
For his sake, I hope it dies off quick. But I don't know. Again, that's like I feel the worst for him. Like, it probably, again, if this would have been a non-issue had we not seen it, it would have been have already dealt with. They would have already been moved on. They probably would have had dinner together or some shit, and that would have been that. I'm telling
No,
you, man.
no, in a fight, yes, but not when you sucker punch and knock someone out.
Again, we only saw a clip. We don't know what happened before that.
Dame, we saw what happened. Jordan Poole wasn't even looking at dude. And Draymond was talking, goes in his face. Like, let's not pretend like.
I don't know what clip you saw, but the clip I saw started with like Draymond Green on the sideline and Poole on the baseline. And Green, he was adamant about something. He's going off. So clearly they're having words.
Jordan Poole wasn't having words. In fact, even Iggy and Steph came out and said he did absolutely nothing wrong. So when the initial talks were like, oh, maybe Poole wasn't instigating or talking shit, both guys came out and said, nah, he didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, they're supposed to say that, especially them two. And I think, maybe he didn't do anything to deserve being punched. And, just like the whole thing with Draymond saying, bringing personal issues to work. I don't buy that.
I buy it.
It sounds good. I just think shit got out of hand. And that's something that's plausible. So, So, Julian.
What's up?
Joe Biden. Should he run again? 1 term, 2 terms?
He should not run again. That would be my short answer. What about you? Why not?
Why not?
I don't think he's fit. I think he's got a lot of people around him that probably know what they're doing. I don't think he has to necessarily be on top of every single issue and every single thing, as long as he is moving the country in the right direction. But I don't feel, first of all, politically speaking, he's not my cup of tea. He's way too much in the middle for me. But aside from that, I don't know. I didn't think so when he was going against Trump, but I guess you could have had a elephant going against Donald Trump, a chimp, and I still would have probably went for the elephant or the chimp. So Joe Biden probably looked a lot better than what he was, but he wasn't my initial pick. He wasn't my initial 5 picks. I could think of a bunch of other politicians I would rather have than Joe Biden. But I don't know, with his gaffes and just the way he speaks and the things that he says, and he looks confused all the time. He's fallen. I don't know. I just, first of all, if he runs again, I don't think he wins. He might beat like certain candidates, but I think if the Republicans are able to get somebody in there who the right wing starts to fall in love with, maybe like a DeSantis, I think that poses a lot of problems for Joe Biden. And I don't know how I would want to see him in a debate against someone who's a little bit more sharp and kind of with it. So
yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything you said. Especially if DeSantis ends up being the candidate, age is going to be the topic for sure. Like you, he's not my choice either, not my cup of tea. Wasn't happy with having to vote for him this time. But he doesn't know how to play the game anymore. He doesn't play the game the way it's played today. He's still playing the old school game.
Yeah.
And he's getting beat pretty bad. He's done, I don't want to say a lot. He's done a fair amount of good things that we don't even hear about because he's still playing, the 80s game. But speaking of some of the things that he's done, what do you think about the federal pardon for marijuana possession charges?
About time, right?
Yeah.
It's about time. I don't know how many. I wonder if they ever took like statistics or if they know how many people of color have been incarcerated because of marijuana, whose lives were destroyed. How many families were broken up because of it. and how many people are still affected by it? How many people are still in prison or in jail for possession? I wonder what that number would look like, what those numbers would look like, because it's always great to see these positive changes, but it just makes you wonder, like, what took so long?
Yeah. What took so long? I don't know, but I'm glad it's here now. The only number I do know is because it's for federal charges is what he's pardoning. That was just shy of 6,500 people. And then he's urging the governors to follow suit. And obviously that number would.
Yeah, that number sounds like a microcosm to
Yeah,
it's
6,500. I mean,
it's not even
it's
probably
not.
1%, yeah, of I mean the people currently affected, let alone affected since what, the 50s. Um I think I know what's part of the reason why it's happening now. I think a lot of medical studies have come out, and there's obviously a lot of evidence that, uh, obviously, because we live in 2022, that there is a lot of benefits,
Right.
CBD oils and all of that stuff. And so I think now a lot more people are open to it. And that's the only reason why. But I think science has known this for a while. People have known this for a while. There've been studies on it. But I just think now the majority of people are getting comfortable with this idea. And the further we move away from the 60s and the 70s, where they kind of put this on hippies as well, I think, and religion is playing less of a part in our politics. I think all of that kind of plays a role for sure.
I don't know if religion's playing less of a role in our politics, but no, I do agree that the science probably had a big part in it, and that leads to what, for me, I think is the biggest part of this is removing it off of the Schedule 1 drug classification. That is probably more impactful than releasing the 6,500 people. And then, if we know what states aren't going to get on board, but if we can, get half the states to get on board, it's a lot of people coming home.
Yeah, but again, it makes you wonder, right? Like,
Oh, we
what took
know.
so long?
Well, I mean, it was a tool that was used against us,
Right.
and so that's
And they
what's
got
up.
a lot of tools, man. Everything from air fresheners
Right.
on your rear view mirror, right?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
If they could use that as an excuse to pull you over, that kind of, in their mind, mitigates the idea that they're racially profiling.
Right.
So yeah.
Who has the Christmas trees? Who hangs the most Christmas trees from their mirrors?
If I was that company, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, what? If I was an car air freshener company, I'd be pissed off, man.
Well, they just make them to, now they have them in like cans and little tablets and shit you can throw under your seat. They came out with different ways, so it doesn't have to hang from the mirror. But man, the tree's a classic, man.
That's what I'm saying.
What's your favorite scent?
Uh I like coke, like a pina colada. Like I like the coconut. I like
I was gonna make a,
um
a Puerto Rican joke, but I'll let it go.
what the fuck were you gonna say?
I don't even know, but
I kind of made the joke already, but
I mean, I've never heard anybody say they like coconuts, but the
I don't like
coconut,
I don't like coconut. Like I
no,
don't,
the scent
well, the scent coconut and pineapple. Like,
in the Christmas tree air freshener. That's unheard
oh
of.
no, I'm just talking about car air
Oh
fresheners.
no 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 no.
I don't have I don't have like a whole list of Christmas tree air freshener like aromas or scents or like fragrances. Like I don't know,
Black
pine.
ice, black ice,
Oh, look at you, look at you.
black ice,
What else? What other scents do they have?
black ice.
Oh, that's it. You just a one man, just
One
loyal to Black Ice.
black ice. That's it.
Is it the name or is it the actual scent?
The scent. It's like a kind of like a fresh car, fresh scent, new car smell, kind of.
Black Ice is a dope ass name though
Yeah.
for an air freshener. Yeah, but it's a big deal. I think it really is a big deal that we're one of those little things where we're finally moving forward a little bit. But I'm just waiting for all the documentaries and all the evidence to show how. And obviously we've had a lot of these things, but specifically on marijuana, I really would like to see the effects of what that has done and the devastation has done to communities of color.
I mean, I'm sure the stats are. I'm sure it would not be hard to come up with these numbers.
Yeah, but like real life stories, like something really put out there. Like if we can go crazy with a Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, I think
Right.
stuff like that should just be more out in the open. Something because I know from my experience with family and people that I've known, it's been quite devastating. I don't think we quite realize how devastating it is. I think it's far worse than most people even think.
Yeah, I mean it's a trickle down effect. The real trickle down effect.
Right. I think people when they hear the story, they just initially think, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna smoke out." You know what I'm saying? Or that's what they think, but it really it really goes way further than if your teenage boy in the suburbs
Right.
can smoke weed or not, or can vape or whatever. It goes way past that. There've been real serious consequences for possession of marijuana
Right.
in communities of color.
And just to be clear, this is just simple possession. This has nothing to do with sales or
Right.
violence, trafficking, nothing. It's just you were caught with whatever amount of marijuana on you, and because it's legal, you're going to jail. And then depending on the judge or the hue of your skin, you're sentenced heavier than others, and now you lose your job. Now your family's homeless. Like, it just goes on and on and on. Children are raised without their parents, and then they, that cycle continues. So it's late, but better late than never. So we're over Biden, but pat him on the back for this one, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Uh, if it came down to Biden and some, Ted Cruz or DeSantis, or I'm going with Biden still, but I really hope he steps down and
I
gives
just
someone
think
else a shot.
I just think it's so crazy that we have presidents as old as they are. Like there's I'm so over that, like that old shit. Never mind. We're gonna start a whole new conversation
Yeah.
if I get too far into it. But um looking forward to see who is he's he actually said not long ago that he was going to run again, even though while he was running, he said he was only going to stay for one term. He contradicted himself, but then it seems like he's getting some pushback from within the party because now he's not saying that he will or won't. You know what I mean? It's like back into the middle again. Whereas
Yeah. And then go ahead. Sorry.
it was like he was trying to make it clear, like he was getting ready to run again, and now he's like, we'll see.
Yeah, I think he recently said that if he went against Trump, that he would win again. So I don't know the exact context of that, but that was just like the day before yesterday, where he I guess somebody may have asked him, and he thinks that he would win again against Donald Trump. I think he would, but who wants to see that again, right? Like I don't think anybody wants to see that again. I think the whole point of Joe Biden being elected was more about Donald Trump than it was about Joe Biden.
Yeah. easily.
I don't think he understands that, but it definitely was.
I'm so tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. Like, we got to be able to do better, and I mean that across the board. Like, in all parties, we got to be able to do better than the shit that we've had to pick from these last few elections.
I think I think a big part of that is just the misinformation that's out there. The money in politics, that's another thing that's makes this whole thing impossible. It's the reason why people cling on to the idea of Kanye West or Donald Trump, or I've even heard like Marjorie Taylor Greene now. They're talking about, she should run for president. It's like this whole idea that people are so desperate to get someone outside of, the normal political atmosphere that they're just willing to vote for anyone. So that to me is more dangerous than this establishment shit that we got going on. But the problem is that seems to be, it's either the establishment or some lunatic, and
Right.
and I don't understand it. There's so many brilliant people out there, people who really understand this.
Well,
I'm a Bernie guy, and I don't understand how he hasn't won. He's been clearly, in my mind, the best choice.
well, because each time that he's run, it's come down to this lunatic, or the only people someone feels comfortable with that they believe can beat the lunatic is someone established. And even though Bernie's been around, his whole life,
Right.
he's not been in the forefront. So,
The the
until the last 10 years.
the fact that Joe Biden actually won the black vote over Bernie Sanders blows my mind. Where Bernie was actually arrested, protesting during the civil rights.
Right. But a lot of people don't even know that. But I think
Yeah,
that had a lot to do with South Carolina. Was it Claiborne?
yeah, oh yeah, that had a lot to do with
Yeah.
with the support that Joe Biden got, and it doesn't hurt that he was Obama's VP.
Right. Right. I think a lot of people, I think that was part of it too. A lot of people felt like they were getting Obama 3.0.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Obama is just as like just not out there as he was when during Donald Trump. Like, you seldom ever see him make like public appearance, like,
yeah, he's a
which
ghost.
I'm actually I'm actually quite happy when I see that, because he did so much and got so much shit while he was president. I'm actually really, whenever he does come out, I'm really happy to see him. I don't agree with everything he did, but if there was someone who deserved not to deal with this nonsense anymore, it's definitely him.
Well, I don't think it's intent. I don't think it was for that reason. I think it was because he was Biden's president, and if he was more um, out there, it would overshadow Biden. People would be asking
Absolutely.
him what he
Yeah.
thinks, and so I think it's out of respect for Biden and giving Biden the opportunity of a clear path. Otherwise, we probably would be seeing a lot more of him.
So is that the same reason why we don't see Kamala?
That's so strange to me. I don't know what the fuck that's about. I honestly, I've given thought to it. I that is, it's really strange. I don't know. I guess, yeah. I guess that could be.
I'm sure like it's gonna come out at some point. There has to be a reasoning behind it, and for all I know, maybe I'm ignorant to it. Maybe she's front and center, and they're just not reporting it or talking about it. But I just feel like that ticket, just they don't even mesh well. Like, you would see Obama and you would see Biden, and everybody like that, right? Because Joe Biden is established but not polished at all, where Barack Obama was a younger guy and super polished. And the mix of those two worked really well.
And they looked like buddies.
And they look like buddies. Right. I don't get this. I don't get this. Even the Trump and Pence thing, I understood. I understood why that was
That
a
was more
thing.
that was more strategic.
It was
It's
strategic, right? You
yeah,
get some right wing religious guy,
right.
and all
It's
of a sudden, yeah,
yeah,
that validates Trump's sins, right?
right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Would you want her to run? I mean, clearly she's gonna run if he doesn't.
She had I liked her for a long time, but she's kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But if I had to pick her or Biden, I would pick her.
Mm. I can't even answer that question right now.
Which one between Biden and
Yeah,
Kamala? Or wow,
yeah. I don't know. I honestly I don't know.
I think she'd be a better president than she is a vice president.
I mean, she's super smart. Obviously, she's got a lot of potential, but she just doesn't seem like she has the guts to make the moves. She seems like she tiptoed too much, and her whole that prosecutor tag is never going to leave her alone.
Yeah, but she could debate because of it.
She's good. She's pretty good in the debate, but
But that's yeah,
I don't know. I
the
can't. I'd have to give a lot of thought to that. I honestly would not want to vote for Biden again, but I, I'm even sorry I just raised the question because I don't even want to think about it.
well, I mean, like if we think about potential replacements for Joe Biden, I mean, who do we got? We got Buttigieg, we got O'Rourke, we got Harris. I mean, who do we got? AOC is still too young,
Oh yeah,
and she's probably not. I love like if I go into my bag and just think of anyone from the squad, that would be a freaking I would love that, but that's not going to
I
happen.
think she's got a lot more work to do.
I don't think she's got a lot more work to do. I think she
She needs to build up her resume. She needs to have a few positions. She needs to. Yeah, she's not ready for that.
no,
Nah.
I would agree that she needs more meat on the bones for the public to accept her. But I think as she is in her policies now, and the way she goes about things, I think she's more qualified in that way than most of the candidates. We sit here and we talk about how we're sick of the establishment,
Right.
but we won't give a new person the baton.
Well, just no, no. I'm bro. I
It's
cleared
a
them all out.
contradiction.
No, it's not. I not opposed to a new person. I just don't think her in particular is ready at this point. I think she's super smart. I think she has a lot of good ideas. I think she's for the people, but I don't think she's worldly enough yet.
But once any politician gets to that point, then they're the establishment. So that lies the paradox in the whole conversation. We can't have it both ways, right? We can't say we're sick of these old establishment politicians, but then when we have someone young, new, and fresh with different ideas, we say, oh, well, they don't have X, they don't have Y, they don't have Z, they're missing this. So it kind of puts us in a situation where I think the country just doesn't know what we want. We're instead of looking at policies, we're looking at whether we fucking like these people, and that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah, it's definitely become a popularity contest. Policies don't even get discussed anymore.
It's a
But
joke.
I mean, it's to me, it's not so much that I just I'm ready to move on to the younger politicians, but maybe not so young.
I get it. I get it. We would all love that 40-something-year-old Barack Obama
Right.
coming in, still young but still relatable to people. I get it. I just don't know anymore. I'm of the thinking that we kind of scrap all the bullshit and just start something new. But that doesn't always work out either. But
I'd be in favor of a no party system, honestly.
oh, that's a
It would never
we
work.
yeah. I've heard people like making the argument, oh, we need more parties, we need something other than it, and we do, we have them, but it just there's no money behind that, so it's difficult to do that. You gotta. That's one of the things that hurts Bernie, right? He'll caucus with the Democrats, but he's not. He's really an independent.
Do you think he would benefit from becoming a Democrat?
Well, he was for when he ran this last time. Yeah, he ran as a Democrat. That's what he does. But he's never going to be that establishment type Democrat. He's just never going to be that guy, no matter what.
Yeah. What do you think about Tulsi Gabbard?
She's garbage.
I would
She
agree.
she um she's she's one of these politicians, and we've seen them a million times, right? Where they somehow get this idea as to what's popular, and they just run with that. They
Yeah.
they never they never stick to any principles or anything, and that I think that's a political killer.
You hit it on the head. I even when she was running, like there was nothing about her that I liked. She never sounded like or presented herself in my eyes, other than having the D next to her name. There was nothing democratic about her. And even these last statements she's making, the Democratic Party is the cabal and wokeism and all of this shit. Like if you just put it on paper and didn't tell me who said it, like I probably would have thought DeSantis wrote that shit. Like it's like scripted. You see, it's the same old shit over and over again. They have. I wouldn't be surprised if running made it something like that.
Yeah. I think that's if I had to bet, I think she's probably gonna try to be a running mate for someone on the right.
Yeah,
You really got to think about it, right? If she goes, I don't know. Did she say she was going to the Republican Party, or is she independent?
I don't know the answer to that. I didn't
She just
see
says she's leaving, right? The
leaving.
Democratic
That's
Party.
what I saw.
Right. So that could be appealing to someone on the right, where they pretending like she's sort of like this middle of the ground type of person who
Right.
just left the Democratic Party and is nonpartisan or whatever. So yeah, it's a trick, and it works because they're still doing it, right? Um,
People
but
fall
anyway,
for it.
yeah, people fall for it. You think that you got somebody? What was it, Andrew Yang? The what was it? What's his party? Forward Party. I'm not right or left. I'm forward, right? You just come up with some dumb shit, right? And
You
and
know what? I was so
cling to it.
disappointed in him because I actually like Andrew Yang. Not for president, but I like him. And that whole thing crashed and burned. Like it was like a paper plane. Like as quick as it went up, it went down and in flames. He had nothing to stand on. He couldn't answer any questions about it. He was avoiding every question or answer.
Yeah,
And it was very I was very disappointed. But
but yeah,
I guess we'll
uh,
see what we got in the next year. I guess or 6 months. Usually a year and a half out.
yeah. We're gonna. I think pretty soon we're gonna start seeing some of these people start kind of positioning themselves to potentially run again. Um, I'm sure it'll be the same old people, right? Elizabeth Warren.
Hope not, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be and she was another one totally supported until she attacked Bernie, but that's a conversation for another day. But we're gonna move on now to the next topic, and got a couple of minutes here, but this is about absurdity right here. So, Dane, Kim Kardashian. Now, this podcast isn't going to be typically about all of this craziness. I know we went over Kanye earlier and Draymond Green, but it's a variety show. But I got a comment on this. So Kim Kardashian What do you think about her saying that her grandmother once told her that, well, what was it? That something about having sex,
You haven't lived
you
until you
haven't
have
lived
sex
sex
in front of a fireplace.
in front of a fireplace, right? So she comes out and tells the world, right, that she had sex in front of a fireplace with Pete Davidson
In honor of her grandmother.
in honor of her grandmother.
This is news.
Right, right. Everything we just spoke about is underneath as far as like trending.
Right.
This is like where it's at, right?
It's the world we live in, man.
I don't know what to make of that. Like it's I'm gonna contradict myself though, right here, right? So as absurd as it is, I'm kind of I've never had sex in front of a fireplace. I've never done it. I've had sex in wild places before,
Not in front of a fireplace.
but not in front of a fireplace. I'm gonna just throw some things out here. Don't judge me. I don't care.
What's the what? Yeah, give me
what do you want to know? The craziest or the worst?
Ooh, one of each.
One of each. The craziest place was I did it on the rooftop of my apartment complex.
I've checked that box as well.
All right. And the worst, I did it in church.
Ooh. I almost did that. I've done something close to that. I don't even want to say.
What? So what? What? This is
it was on
this is exposed Jew fucking hour.
No,
like...
it was on you know what? And they're probably gonna see this. It was on a
so you still know this person.
It was on a youth group church bus.
A youth group church.
Yeah, not all the way. I didn't take it as far as you did, but you know, a little frisky, you know.
Okay, that shit don't count.
I was a teenager.
So okay, all right, but that don't really count. I'm talking like bam. And by the way, I was a teenager for both, so you know. There ain't no grown man. I'm not going up on a rooftop. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
How many Hail Marys and Our Fathers did you say after that?
I know there's a God somewhere.
At that time, I felt no guilt. I was just happy I got to hit. I didn't feel nothing after that.
I hear you. Yeah, I don't have anything that remotely comes close to that, bro. As far as the worst place. Maybe. This is so embarrassing. I'm not usually this open.
Mom and dad's bed?
Oh no. No, I don't have the balls for that.
You can't admit that though.
No, I would, bro. Never.
I could admit that.
But the wildest, you could admit that? You did that?
Yeah, I did.
No, you got no couth, bro.
I was out of control when I was younger.
Yeah, you were out of control. You were way out of control. I would say the wildest maybe was in a car parked on the side in the street on Halloween night.
Anniversary coming up.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Were y'all dressed up?
No. That would have been that would have been crazy. But it was yeah, that probably was the craziest. The worst.
I would go with that. School, yeah.
School bathroom under a portable trailer at school.
So yeah. So as absurd as this conversation is,
can we edit this out?
We might. I don't know. We'll see. But as crazy as this was, I think we needed to just one up Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson for this segment.
Fuck your fireplace.
Yeah, fuck your fireplace. And
People
fuck
out here having out here having real boss sex.
right. Let's do this. Music recommendation. So Daym, what you got for me?
Cormega just dropped an album called The Realness 2. Super 90s. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna give you there. Definitely check it out. It's right up your alley. Freddie Gibbs, that's been out for like 2 weeks now, but that's a solid album. 15 tracks. The first 5 are probably for the millennials, but 6 through 15, no skips for sure. And that one is sold separately. And then one of my favorite younger artists, A Boogie with the Hoodie, it's got a new single out called Bro. I like it. Oh man, Julian, think we're wrapping up the first episode, man. It was a good time.
Yes, it was. And we got a lot more coming. Can't wait. There's some announcements coming soon. It's gonna be
and that's something. Episode 1, and we already got announcements coming.
Yeah.
I like it.
And for the first episode, a little bit raw. We're working out some of the kinks and stuff. So just bear with us. But we're definitely fully invested in this. And thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Absolutely. Saturdays we'll be dropping YouTube, and more to come. Follow us on Instagram, Clearly Distorted Podcast, and that's where you can get all the information regarding the podcast and everything else we got in store. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Hello.